evening, viewers, and welcome to this edition of NTV Sports Page. It's Friday, 19th March, and I'm Curtis Morton. In our headlines, Sugar Boys set for World Cup qualifiers, and in our feature for this evening, Spencer Howell speaks about horse racing on Nevis. We'll take this break, and I'll be right back.
Salt is an important part of the human diet, but most of us consume more than we realize.
Consuming excess salt can lead to heart attack, high blood pressure, and even stroke, and other health-related conditions such as kidney disease.
As a hypertensive patient, in my home, I reduce salt intake by not adding salt during the preparation of my food, not having a salt shaker on my table, limiting the consumption of salty snacks, and choosing products with low sodium content.
If you gradually use less salt, you will gradually want less salt. Eating less salty foods will reduce your cravings for salty foods.
Do you know that common baked goods such as bread and crackers are high in salt?
Did you know that there are certain seasonings that contain more salt than you actually need? There are more natural, healthier ways to reduce the salt intake in your dishes by using natural things like onions, garlic, seasoned peppers, and even thyme and merengue powder.
Consuming foods like bananas, potatoes, and dried peas and beans, such as lentils and kidney beans, contains potassium, which helps to reduce salt in the body.
You can lower your salt intake by reducing salty foods, removing table salt, and using salt alternatives when cooking.
Most people consume excess salt from processed foods, such as snack foods, processed meats, instant meals, and condiments.
Instead, use fresh vegetables, ground provision, fresh meats, and natural herb seasonings, just like our grandparents did, and just like you did with this soup.
Get salt smart.
I am salt smart.
Let's get salt smart.
We are salt smart.
Well, I'm back, and we start with cricket. Here's a notice from the Nevis Cricket Association. All clubs are invited to a meeting with the management on Wednesday, March 24th at 4:30 p.m. at the Credit Union Conference Room. Agenda items include the election of a secretary and update on cricket matters. Please be advised that effective this weekend, all matches for any particular weekend will be played at one venue instead of shared weekends. The matches this weekend will be played at the Eatwillet Park, and next weekend matches will be played at the Viogen Field. A revised schedule will be issued shortly. Please also note that matches scheduled for March 27th have been postponed. This is to facilitate persons wishing to attend the funeral service of Henry Martin, who was a former member of management and also a selector. His brothers Anthony and Michael played for Nevis, and his brother Oral is a former president of the Nevis Cricket Association. The Brownhill team has also requested the day off to attend the funeral service of Hesketh Walwyn, who was an immediate family member of the ETW Park's groundsman Jabal and scorer Cherian. A new date will be selected after consultation between management and the clubs. Now to football, a 23-man squad has been released by the SKNFA as the senior men's national team prepares for two important World Cup qualifiers in the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas. Andre Huey has the details.
The Sugar Boys will be competing in two World Cup qualifiers during the FIFA international break from March 21st to March 30th. The first match will be on March 24th in the Dominican Republic against Puerto Rico, and the second on March 27th against the Bahamas in that country. General Secretary of the SKNFA, Stanley Jacobs, said due to COVID-19 restrictions, the home matches in St. Kitts and Nevis had to be moved to the Dominican Republic, as that country has more relaxed COVID measures. The same goes for the Bahamas, hence why the matches are being held in both countries.
St. Kitts and Nevis is scheduled to play two matches in the upcoming World Cup qualifying window. St. Kitts and Nevis is scheduled to play versus Puerto Rico on March 24th, and that match will take place in the Dominican Republic, and that will be the St. Kitts and Nevis home match, will take place in the Dominican Republic on the 24th of March. And then on the 27th of March, St. Kitts will play its away match in the Bahamas versus the Bahamas. This decision was made by the St. Kitts Nevis Football Association to ensure that the senior men's team has the best possible opportunity to win these two games, and taking into consideration everything that is going on, not just the COVID-19 restrictions, but also having our best players available.
Mr. Jacobs noted that there will be sufficient testing of the players and members of the technical team that will be traveling to these matches.
And so we look forward to those matches. It has been a long planning process, taking into consideration the COVID-19 protocols and the strict COVID-19 protocols of the FIFA return to football protocol, ensuring that there's continuous testing from the point of departure from the home country, testing prior to the match, testing after the match, and testing again prior to return to home country. There's a very strict schedule. At the SKNFA, we are in the process of putting together our COVID-19 risk assessment and also our COVID-19 risk mitigation strategy. And this is the strategy that the national team will employ as it compete in these two very important matches.
The SKNFA has been working closely with CONCACAF and FIFA to ensure that the hosting of the matches adheres to the FIFA international match protocols. A 23-man squad for St. Kitts and Nevis has been released. These are Jelani Archibald, Zakis Smith, Clifford Samuel, Lois Maynard, Andre Burley, Raheem Francis, Dennis Fleming, Ordell Fleming, Ezric Nichols, Raheem Hanley, Gerard Williams, Theo Wharton, Raheem Summersall, Johannes Mitchum, Romain Sawyers, Harrison Panayutu, Tishan Hanley, Omari Sterling James, Vince Roy Nelson, Kimari Rogers, Rowan Liebert, Keith Roy Freeman, and Tahir Hanley. Head coach is Leo Nieva, assistant coach George Isaac, and goalkeeper coach Gerhard Benthin. Trainer Kenneth Douglas, physio Alistair James, Kitsmen Leroy Sweeney and Roger Hendricks, Dr. Carlton Williams, manager Jamira Claxton, and head of delegation Don Grant.
Well, it's certainly good to see that Zakis Smith is in that squad. So we say congratulations to Zakis. Thanks, Andre. We'll take this break and I'll be back with our feature for this evening. Well, I'm back, and tonight we feature horse racing. Spencer Howell, who has been involved in horse racing on Nevis for most of his life in one way or other, sat down recently with NTV Sports and spoke candidly in voicing his opinion on the current state of affairs with horse racing on the island. Let's take in this. I'm here with the venerable Spencer Howell. I almost said honorable Spencer Howell, but maybe one of these days we might still get that nomenclature attached to his name. Mr. Howell, how are you today?
I am fair enough, thank you.
Now, let's talk a little bit about horse racing. I know that that's the sport you love, maybe more than any other. Talk to us a little bit about your feelings as to what's going on, or better put, what's not going on with horse racing nowadays.
Well, it's really what's not going on. I could think back of horse racing way back when I was a boy. I used to go with my father. He was in the horse racing business in the good old days. In the good old days when they had horse racing pretty much all over Nevis. But believe it or not, it was a summer sport. It was a sport that every August Monday they had a horse race. And I don't know what has happened, but what I do know is that we moved from one phase to the next, to the next, to the next. And then back in 1968, that's when horse racing became more or less official in Nevis. That was the beginning of the formation of the Nevis Turf and Jockey Club.
Well, let's take a pin, Mr. Howell. For the benefit of the younger ones, talk us through some of the different venues. I mean, when I was growing up, I heard about Brambouche and those kind of names. Talk to us about where some of the horse race meets were held previously, prior to even Indian Castle.
I was trying to do a little island-wide racetrack places the other day. And it starts with a place called, I'm sure very few people in Nevis now have ever heard the name, a place called Bethnowell. Bethnowell is a section of Lower Bard Village near where the radio station is.
Close to Van Radio then?
Close to Van Radio. That was, Bethnowell was the big racetrack back in the days. I don't recall that. Okay. But that was the days when the elites of Nevis who were into horse racing, that's where they raced. Then as we go south from there, there was a racetrack at Prospect, where the gas station, the place with the gas, what do you call that over there?
At Prospect.
Yeah, we have the.
Not Neblek.
No.
Gas station.
Over the gas along the coast road, near the.
Oh, you're talking about over at the landfill, close to the landfill.
Close to the landfill.
Okay.
There was a racetrack there.
By the gas space.
Yes, Then there was a racetrack at Mardens, that's the bottom part of Brown Hill.
Okay.
Then there was a racetrack on the southern end of Brown Hill, a place called, it was known as the Mash Tree Track.
So there were at least two venues in Brown Hill?
There were at least two venues in Brown Hill. Then there was a track at Indian Castle.
Yeah, okay.
And
before the one that we know now?
Yes, there was a track at Indian Castle. And from Indian Castle, there was a track at Butler's, known as the Well Path. That's a road which comes up from the sea, up to Butler's village. There was a racetrack there. Then there was a race at Madden's Estate, a racetrack at Madden's Estate. There was a racetrack at Bambouche. You asked about Bambouche.
That's over by
Bambouche
Newcastle,
is
right?
where the airport now is.
Okay.
There was a racetrack there. Then the other side of the racetrack, they had to move that after they brought in the racetrack. They moved over to the other side of the road, and that was the Newcastle racetrack. And those were basically the racetracks in Nevis, except, and safe to say, there was always horse racing down at Pinnis Beach. From down the bottom of Pinnis Road right down to the Pinnis Beach Hotel.
Okay.
There was a racetrack there. Then on the other side of the town, there was a racetrack from Low Street right down to the big pond at Bart Village.
Wow.
Then in those days there was the old pier on stilts, and so you actually rode under the pier.
Wow.
And you rode from the racetrack was from.
Did a lot of people go to those races in those early days?
Yes. I mean, people always wanted some entertainment, something to do, and so yes.
And so
in those days, you see, to answer that question, I'll probably say you had, in a way, more interest in that. A lot of people were the horse was the means of transport. And a lot more people had horses.
Got you.
And donkeys. And so
they had donkey races too.
Race and donkey race was simultaneous. Yeah.
No. Talk to me about, you said 1968, we formally had an association formed, and so did that simultaneously line up with the racetrack being officially back at Indian Castle around that same time?
Soon after that, yes, that we moved back to Indian Castle.
Now, you know the situation with Indian Castle. Your thoughts on...
Sure that I know.
Oh, well, there's nothing going on there.
Because what happened, we have had several forms of management of the Nevis Turf and Jockey Club, including a lot of youngsters who got involved in racing, which was a very good thing. But then some of the youngsters, they thought they know it all. And I think one of their problems was they tried to get rid of the oldsters who could give the better advice.
Okay.
And there are lots and lots of things that went wrong, and they would not heed any advice. And so the track went down the hill to the extent that they precipitated it by got a lot of stuff thrown on the track without any proper advice. So we had a track. You don't have a track anymore. You've just got a lot of stone and brush and debris thrown all over down there. And even the stables that were there, they were pulled down by the last set of people who tried to run the track. And so that's where racing has gone to.
Well, that's our package for this evening and indeed for the week. I am Curtis Morton, reminding you that you can watch sports if you're not fit. But to play sports requires fitness, diligence, and sacrifice. Have a good night and a great weekend.